Perfect, perfect. So let me just click recording on my side. All right, perfect. So I think we've got about 35 to 40 minutes,
Yeah,
the Zoom account. So I'll just start off by introducing myself and then we can go back and forth. I'll ask you some questions.
of course.
Awesome. Are you good to start?
Yeah, yeah, all good, all good.
Perfect, perfect. Hey guys, welcome back. Milan Tech Sales here. So as you know, I've been in tech sales for the last 5 years now. Started off doing an internship at Google in 2019. Transitioned into working in two AI companies and most recently at Stability AI. About 2 years ago, I created a community called Break into Tech, which is where we help people from disprivileged backgrounds or non-traditional backgrounds break into tech. More common, we help people break into commercially focused roles such as tech sales, marketing, product management within tech companies. And Gav is one of the students in the program. He was actually a part of our free community to begin with. And then he joined the paid community about 3 months ago. And the reason I'm interviewing him today is because he successfully landed his first ever tech sales job as a sales development representative at a tech company. So today we're going to be asking him some questions, and hopefully you guys can get some insight from this. The main thing I would say is that Gav, he's relatively young. He just graduated university. So if you guys are young and you just graduated university and you don't have professional work experience, this is definitely going to be a really good one for you guys to watch because he was basically in the same shoes as you guys who don't have that much professional work experience. And if you've just literally just graduated university. So having said that, Gav, do you want to just give everyone like a quick background about your, work history, education? I know that you just graduated university, so just take us back from the beginning, and then we can bring it to this point in time right now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I graduated in university last year, so July last year in 2024. It was actually a 4-year course, so I actually started in 2020. My first sort of real professional work experience was actually in my placement year. That was sort of based towards London. I'm actually based in the Midlands, so it was a bit of a sort of step out of my comfort zone, but I thought take it on for the sort of experience.
Yeah.
I worked as a sort of finance analyst intern. Not too much responsibility as an intern, so it was more just really getting used to that sort of corporate office environment. So I worked there for about a year for my placement, and then I came back to do my final year of study. During my final year, I did actually work as well, just to get more sort of experience too.
Hmm.
So I worked at Goldman Sachs for about 6 to 7 months, just to sort of get more finance experience because that's what I thought I wanted to sort of progress in. But then I realized towards the end of my sort of time there, and it's coming towards the end of my degree as well, that, they wouldn't be able to sort of match my sort of progression and my sort of compensation, you could say, expectations. And that's where I sort of discovered the sort of sales and especially the tech sales sort of industry. So I left there at the same time I graduated and I joined a sort of direct sales job. Got a few months experience there and thought I want to sort of take things onto a bit more of a bigger level. And that's when I actually came across the TikTok of Lara and Milan. So literally sort of flicked a switch in my mind and thought, you know what, this might be for me. And then from there on, then I did join the free community for about, I think about just over a month. But I thought because I was very serious that I think the paid community might be for me. And yeah, ever since I think just under 3 months, it's taken me to get an offer. So yeah, all
Awesome.
good so far. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you for the intro. Really good intro. I think what would be interesting for people is listening in on this. Initially, let's get straight into the meat of the matter. So
Yeah.
in just under 3 months of being a part of the Break into Tech Accelerator program, what is the actual offer that you've landed? You don't have to mention the company name, but what's the
Okay.
pay, what's the role, what's the progression? You said it's kind of remote, so tell us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, I mean, being based in the Midlands, I think a lot of the tech sales jobs now with sort of higher pay are in London. And I've actually managed to secure a role which I only have to go into London once a month, which is quite good. I mean, most roles sort of expect you to go in multiple times a week.
Yeah.
So, getting a role that's once a month was quite good. The compensation, so it's a 40K base, and then the OT takes it up to about 58K, just
Perfect.
under 60K, which is quite good considering I was earning. a lot less in overall. So for a new graduate, I feel like, the salary and compensation is quite good at this point anyway. Yeah, I think in terms of the overall role, like I said, it is mainly remote. So a lot of freedom there, to just work at home and focus at home. And then the compensation again, yeah, very good compensation.
Awesome. So 40K base, 58K with OTE, which basically means if you hit your quarterly targets, you get that
Yeah,
extra £18,000. Based in the Midlands, going to be traveling to London once a month. I think that's a really good offer because you're basically, like I said this on the call yesterday, you're basically getting a London salary, but you're still based in the Midlands, right? So it's a really good deal.
exactly.
I think this whole thing about being based in the Midlands and working in London is going to only get more and more popular, especially people that live in Birmingham and Coventry, because to actually get to London from Birmingham, it's about an hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
You go with Virgin train line, it's actually really quick. So a lot of people are going to be doing that from now on. So it's a trend. Thank you for that. Now I'm going to go into my question. So you did your work experience at Goldman Sachs, which a lot of people think is impressive, right? And it is impressive. But what was the main thing that drew your attention towards tech sales? Wanting to switch from finance, economics, banking into tech sales. What were the main reasons that you wanted to leave that world behind and go into tech sales?
Yeah, I think the main reason was, I mean, from a young age, I've always had an interest in sort of finance and markets and stuff like that. But while working at Goldman Sachs, it really opened my eyes on, progressing in an environment like a corporate environment in finance or a lot of other sort of industries. It is a lot harder.
Hmm.
It takes years and years and years just to get, an extra, I don't know, £10,000 increase in your salary.
Yeah.
Whereas in tech sales industries, sort of the motivation to sort of progress is all based on numbers and targets. If you're sort of hitting your targets, you're going to progress. And I think that suits my sort of personality a lot more rather than being in an office doing the same task repetitively and
Yep.
not seeing no sort of return on investment on that in terms of compensation, especially. So I feel like at Goldman Sachs, they weren't really able to offer me that progression as quick as I wanted it. And that's where I sort of delved into sort of the tech sales industry and thought it matched me a lot more better.
So the primary motivation was basically getting promoted faster, making more money quicker. Uh,
Yeah.
and what does that mean for you exactly? Like, how old are you now? 20, 24?
So I've just turned 23 now.
23.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So you're only 23. So where would you want to be in terms of income wise or money wise, like yearly salary or whatever, by the time you're 30? And why do you
Yeah.
think you can get there faster with tech sales than in finance?
Exactly. I think so, my sort of OTE salary just starting in the industry is just under 60K. By 30, I think it's fair to say, you're looking at a couple hundred K at least. I
Mhm.
think if I progress well, I think that's definitely an achievable salary, if not more, to be fair.
Mhm.
Whereas in the finance industry, it's not guaranteed that you're going to be able to have a role which is going to be able to offer you that salary. I mean, it
Yep.
is possible, but the tech sales role with the sort of the growing industry as it is in tech,
Yeah.
the growing companies, it just seems makes a lot more sense to sort of get
Yeah.
involved with the tech sales now.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, like when I was at university, I wanted to go into investment banking as well and like, just working in a bank, right? Because it was really
Yeah,
popular. I mean, it's still popular. But what I realized is the bulge bracket banks like JP, Goldman and Morgan Stanley, they usually only hire from the top 1% of universities. And I went to a really shitty university. And then on top of that, it's so competitive that the chances of you getting to a VP and a director level, which is where you actually make the multiple six-figure salaries, is like one in a million. Like really, I don't know the exact number, but it's super low chance, right? You actually, I would say you probably have a higher chance of being a professional footballer in
yeah,
League Two or like maybe League One or League Two than you
yeah,
are getting to that level, right? Whereas when I found out about tech sales, what I realized is that it's still super competitive, right? You still have to be really good at sales. Like it is super aggressive and competitive. But the chances of you making it in tech sales is actually a lot higher than in investment banking or commercial law, just because the barrier to entries don't exist as much. And on top of that, it's not run by like politics. It's run by your performance. And
yeah,
sales is a skill that you can constantly learn and get better at. So you could be terrible, good, excellent, incredible, and it's just like learning, 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 learning. So that was the main thing that I figured as well. So
Yeah.
I guess with regards to, going from the free community to the paid community, what were the core challenges that you had whilst doing this whole process yourself that when you joined the paid community, they vanished? Or what were the main things that helped you, when you were the main things that you were struggling with compared to how we helped you in the paid community?
Yeah, so in terms of being in the free community, it was more of a sort of, I didn't have a sense of direction. There wasn't a plan and there wasn't someone sort of checking what I was doing to see if it was correct. And now I was sort of applying for jobs. I've made my own CV and really I didn't know if it was good enough in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Whereas, joining the paid community, there's obviously people who already work in the industry, people who are already successful in the industry who are able to sort of give me that that experience and that know-how of whether or not my CV is good enough, how I'm going about applications and stuff like that. And the weekly calls as well, sort of keep you sort of in that mind frame of staying consistent and actually applying to multiple jobs. Because being in the free community, sometimes you're not going to be as consistent.
Yeah.
But when you're sort of in the paid community, you're a lot more locked in and sort of focused on actually applying consistently and reaching out and just trying to apply as much as you can. So I think that's the biggest thing. I think, being in the paid community, having that experience to fall back on and ask questions whenever is the main thing, really. Yeah.
hmm I agree. I think especially for Gav, because you already had like 5 or 6 interviews before the paid community, right?
Yeah, I had a few interviews. Yeah.
Yeah, you had a few interviews, so I already knew you were good. I knew that you were going to make it anyway. Um, I think so. There's two types of people that join the paid community within Breaking into Tech. Number one, these guys are like the worst, right? They've been applying for 6 months, 12 months. They've had no interviews, no opportunities, no offers. Those
Yeah.
guys are like the hard cases, but we still deal with them. And then you have guys like yourself and other people in the program who are getting some initial success. They're getting interviews, they're not passing interviews, or they're getting interviews but with not the best companies with the best salaries and the best progressions. I just
Yeah.
spoke to Hasib, who's the other guy in the program that just landed his job, and he actually landed an offer even a month ago. But that offer was a really bad offer. It was 30K, less than 30K base. The commission was terrible. Company was terrible. So I feel like with someone like yourself, it's about refining those interviews, getting practice on the interview prep. The interviews for tech sales can be very tough, 4 to 6 stages. You've got the cold call exercise, the demo exercise. I remember when we did the presentation for the job that you landed at the
Yeah.
end, we did a lot of work on that. So that's uh, that's really good to hear. Now, with regards to the yeah, so I think the other question I had with regards to the job search and success, what were the like the top 3 things that you did really well that made you land a really good offer, like a really great offer, 58K OTE, 1 day a
Yeah.
week, 1 day a month in London. What do you think that you did differently to other people who've not been successful like you have?
Yeah. I think even myself, I think I had a lot of rejections as well. So looking back at what I maybe did different in terms of landing this role, and I think mainly it's sort of being very consistent with your applications and really just preparing for each interview. Now,
Mm,
for this offer and this company, I mean, it suited me a lot. Obviously, being one day a month, so I really did prepare a lot more maybe compared to other interviews that I've had. So I think, yeah, the main thing is really preparing and researching in depth because that sort of builds that confidence. And then that can really sort of come across in your interviews when you're actually interviewing with these other people.
mhm.
So my interview, it was about 4 stages, 4 to 5 stages in total. And I
Okay.
spoke to sort of about, I'd say four professionals. And then there was a presentation as well to 2 people.
Mhm.
Now, if you're sort of research and you're prepared and you know the sort of company, not inside out, but to a
Yeah,
good
yeah, yeah.
level,
Just at a high level, yeah.
um, it really does show when you actually are sort of on the interview. And that confidence is what, the people want to see on the other side of the camera. So, but yeah, I think the main thing is just researching because it just builds confidence.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the one thing I would add to that is commercial awareness, like building commercial
Yeah.
awareness. If you go to a good university in the UK, right, like Warwick or UCL or whatever top universities, right, they teach you commercial awareness. They're really big on commercial awareness because they know that tech companies, finance, law, whatever, these employers love commercial awareness. So they tell you to subscribe to the FT, Financial Times, New York Times, Guardian, LinkedIn, blah, 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 Glassdoor, and learn a lot about your industry. So that I think that's what you're referring to. I think the other thing to remember is, you know, what he basically said is like prioritizing your opportunities, right? So you've had
Yeah,
loads of interviews, right? 80%
yeah,
of are not a good fit for you. But you're doing it for the learning experience. But there's one
exactly.
company like this one that gave you the job. This is like life changing in terms of your career, getting a great salary, and it's 1 day a month. So obviously you need to prepare for weeks and weeks and make sure that you get it. Do whatever it takes to get it because if you don't, maybe in 3 months, maybe you get another opportunity like this in 3 months, right?
Exactly, yeah. I think, yeah, definitely. I think in terms of when this company came about, the way I researched it was through LinkedIn as well, but just generally just a Google search, sort of researching investors of the company, any news, and
Hmm.
then when you are in the interview, just sort of popping that in as a brief sort of word, because it makes you stand out. I think the main thing is, with companies like this, there are going to be multiple applicants,
Yep.
hundreds of applicants, and you've got to stand out. And if you sort of give them a little fact that you've researched, even if you don't really know nothing about it, it makes the sort of
Yeah.
interviewer remember your name.
Yeah.
And when they remember you, it's only going to lead to sort of good things. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, totally. That's a really good point. What has worked for you and what hasn't worked for you when trying to land interviews?
I think a good way to sort of go about when you do get an interview, or even before you haven't got an interview, is sort of outreaching on LinkedIn. I
Okay.
think getting comfortable, sort of talking to people and just sort of learning about the company, maybe even get in touch with someone who's already working there.
Right.
Because a lot of the times, a lot of employees that do sort of like to help.
Yep.
And before an interview, sure, you've got some advice of someone who's already working there. It can really sort of benefit you in the interview process. So I think sort of outreaching to current employees would definitely help.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's basically now program. We call that process building an ideal list of 50 companies.
Yeah,
It's literally a cheat code because if you hyper focus on one software industry within software, like AI or ML or fintech, and you go deep into the top 50 companies in that industry, all you have to do then is contact loads of people at that company. Get on a call with them. Obviously, not many people are going to respond to you, but the one person that does, build a relationship with them,
yeah,
get a referral, or you just manually apply and you get a referral, and then you convince that guy to tell you what the questions are. Like they tell you what the questions are, and they tell you what the answers are. That's
yeah.
what I did for all of my jobs and all of my interviews at Google, Databricks, Amazon, um, Microsoft, all of these companies that I've been interviewed with and I've had jobs. It's because of what I did, right? Contacting current employees. So you feel like the best, so what would you say that's the best way to get interviews right now in 2025
Um,
sales
I
jobs, or
think
what?
that's definitely a good option to do sort of get interviews. I think overall though, it is always going to be a numbers game in the sense of you've got to just apply, crazily. Now you might not be able to apply consistently over like a month, like 50 jobs a day, but the more you do, it sort of increases your chances of landing a job.
Hmm.
And as it is already a competitive industry,
Hmm.
even if the sort of role doesn't apply to you 100%, it's always good to just get that interview experience and
Yeah.
just build that experience for when that role does come that you do want, and you are prepared.
Yeah, awesome. How many interviews did you have, by the way, before you landed this job?
Um, at least
How many companies did you speak to before you got this company to give you the job?
in terms of just a conversation, I'm like even a recruiter call.
Yeah, yeah, just like anyone, like how many people did you speak to before you got this offer?
Oh yeah, definitely probably like 100 people.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
lots of people.
Wow, okay. But actual interviews, how many would you say
Oh, in
were
terms of actual interviews, I'd say 20.
20 interviews?
That's solid, like 10 to 20 solid interviews, I'd say. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. That's like the average of what
yeah,
I've seen as well. I think Hasib probably had 10 as well, 10, 20. The reason I ask that is like to give perspective to people, right? It's really difficult to land one of these jobs, especially if you're really young, like you're only 23. If you're really young and you have a degree, which is great, but if you don't have a degree and you're really young, expect to speak to about 100 to 200 people before you land a job offer like this, right? Now, there are other people that are also young and don't have that much experience. They get it faster, but they might not get the best job possible. Like they might get a shit offer from a random company, which is not an ideal situation. So, in terms of the role that you just landed, the role is called sales development representative. What do you know about your day-to-day life at this company, at this job?
Yeah, so from what I've sort of seen and sort of understood from the managers and obviously the job description, so mainly it is sort of cold calling and outreaching using LinkedIn Sales Navigator and the other sort of tools that they use. But yeah, it's just mainly sort of getting in touch with people and providing them with the solutions and sort of cold calling really.
Mhm.
So
Basically, booking appointments for the
yeah,
account executives to close the deal.
exactly. Yeah, so literally booking in meetings for the account executive to close the deal. That's correct.
And in terms of training, do you know what kind of training is provided?
But they do provide training. I'm not sure the exact, but they definitely do provide training. Yeah,
Yeah, okay. So training on sales and then training on the product.
yeah. So they did mention product training, sales training, probably a lot more as well in there.
Yeah. Because obviously you'd never done a B2B sales job before, right? So you don't
Yeah,
really know how to cold call and all that stuff.
yeah, exactly.
And you also don't have a technical background. Like you're not a programmer, you
Yeah,
studied economics, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. I just wanted to clarify that because for people that are watching today, if you're a lawyer right now or a teacher or whatever, you don't need to have sales experience. You don't need to have tech experience because this is an entry level role. They're going to teach you everything. And it's in their best interest to teach you sales, teach you cold calling, teach you cold emailing, and teach you the product because you're going to be the salesperson. You're going to be the most important person in that company, making them money. Every company just cares about making money. If they don't make money, they don't exist. They cease to exist. So, with regards to your goals for 2025, what is the goal for you? Do you know, can you get promoted within a year? Or is it more than a
So
year?
in terms of progression at this company, it is sort of dependent on performance.
Okay.
Now, I did repeat that question throughout the interview to sort of make sure that they know that that's what I want.
Yeah.
Their sort of guidelines were sort of 12 months to 18 months. But obviously, I'm going to see how it goes. If I feel like I'm progressing a lot in this sort of coming year, and they might not want to match my expectations, maybe we're going to have to sort of go from there. But
Yeah.
um, obviously, progression is my main sort of goal. So I think in the next 12 months, just smash the year, I guess, and then we'll see what
Yeah,
goes from
no,
there.
I totally agree. I think so. Some companies you can get promoted to an account executive within 6 months, but those are like the
Yeah,
basic companies that have a basic solution. The more complicated solutions, it takes about 12 months. The really extra complicated ones are like 18 months.
yeah,
Um, I would say if you're not getting promoted to an account executive within 12 to 18 months and you're hitting your targets, definitely
yeah.
look elsewhere. Now that you've got the experience, landing interviews is going to be 100 times easier. And passing those interviews is also going to be much easier because you've got that experience now. Well, you will have that experience by then, right? The most important thing now is to like hit those targets, become really good at the job, be like really commercially aware, know all the tools inside out, get some sales methodology training and certifications. Hopefully they pay for it. They should do. But every company is different, right? But I would say push on that as well. Um, in terms of going back in time and giving yourself advice, what would you say are the top three things that, if you could go back to when you were in the free community compared to now, what would you tell yourself in terms of doing things differently to land a tech sales job faster?
Yeah, I think definitely being more consistent in sort of applications and being a lot more driven. Obviously, wanting a tech sales job is exactly what I wanted when I was in the free community.
Yeah,
I didn't have that sort of that extra push that I really needed. I think joining the paid community that helped a lot, quite significantly actually. But yeah, definitely just be more consistent. I think another thing as well, researching a lot more, not just about the industry, but different companies and what each companies expect. I think the interview stage for a tech sales job is a lot different compared to, another job be it in finance or any other industry.
right.
So understanding the interview process and researching a lot more about that
Hmm.
is definitely something that I could have done a lot more in the free community.
Hmm.
And then I think the last one I'd say maybe networking as well. I think when I was in the free community, I wasn't really sort of comfortable, you could say, with networking and messaging on LinkedIn because I'd
Yeah.
never really used LinkedIn properly. It was
Yeah.
just more of a sort of little profile of what of who I am, and that's it really. But
Yeah.
joining the community really opened my eyes in how to network and really, the importance of it. So yeah, I'd say networking as well on
Yeah.
LinkedIn helps a lot.
I definitely agree with all of those points. That I think the point that I think is the best one is like networking. You have to, and I get it. Most people are really young and they don't really have network. They don't really have LinkedIn. I was really early to LinkedIn, so I started aggressively using LinkedIn in 18, 19 maybe when I was like 20, 21. That's why I built up my network really quickly because I was just going to loads of events and connecting with people. You don't really need to do that now. In 2025, you don't need to really do that. What you need to do is find people that work at the companies that you want to work in, build a relationship with them, message them, call them, email them. Don't be a value leech. Don't ask for advice or for a job straight away. Just give them some resources, talk to them, like their stuff, comment, invite them for a quick call or for an in-person coffee, build that relationship over a few weeks, and ask for the job, ask for the referral. Be like, hey, bro, I know that you work at Google. I want to work at Google. Can you give me a referral? Right? And the chances of that guy saying no is very low. They're going to say yes. Trust me. Like if someone came to me with a lot of value and I knew they were qualified for the job, and they wanted to work for stability, I'll be like, of course I'll give you a referral. I have nothing to lose by putting your name forward, right? So that's a really good point. On that, how would you recommend people go and network on LinkedIn?
I think the best way is to sort of obviously connect with them and just literally just message them quite directly. I think in terms of networking, I think you're not always going to get replies straight away or off
Yeah,
the people you want.
yeah,
It's important to sort of follow up with people, not just once or twice, but sometimes 3 or 4 times.
yeah,
I think it's important to follow up consistently because you're more likely to get a reply because I think a lot of people are busy
yeah.
as it is in their lives. So, replying to a random nobody on LinkedIn can be a bit, you can't expect it. So
Yeah.
just really being consistent and direct, and you'll always get an answer.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think what you got to remember is how many people do you reply to on LinkedIn, right? Like I remember I did this tech accelerator program where I was trying to build my own tech company a year ago, and there was a guy in there. We did the program together. Lovely guy, right? We were friends at that point. The guy messages me a couple of days ago. He's like, "Hey man, can I get on a half an hour call with you? I'm building this product idea. I'd love to get your thoughts." I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't be bothered replying to this guy. I literally can't be bothered. I'm busy. I've got a life. I've got a business. I've got a job." So it's about consistently following up with people until they reply to you. Don't be
Yeah,
shy. Don't be scared. You have nothing to lose. No one's going to ever say to you, fuck off. No one's ever going to say to you, you're a troll. They're just not going to reply to you. The worst case is someone opens your message and they don't reply to you. It's like dating. It's literally the same thing as dating, right? You can talk to 100 girls. One of them will say yes, even if 99 say no, right? That's just life. The other question I have for you is, what are you looking forward to in this job? Like you haven't had a profession, like you've had some work experience, but you haven't had like a full-time 40-hour week professional job before. So what are the main things that you're looking forward to as you go along and you start this job and this journey?
I think how I sort of adapt to sort of hitting targets. I think I've always liked
Driven.
target
Yeah.
jobs, target driven jobs, and yeah, I think being in this job where it's so sort of focused on that,
Yep.
I'd love to see how I sort of progress in the next 3 to 6 months. Because like I said, I believe I work well under pressure, and I'd just like to see, yeah, how I can hit these targets.
That's awesome. I think one thing that people have to understand is that the jobs where you actually get rich, commercial law, investment banking, sales, tech, they're all target-driven jobs. There are no jobs on the planet where they'll pay you 100 to 1 million a year if it's not target-driven. Like
Yeah,
cleaners, people that clean whatever flats, the reason they don't make more than £10 an hour is because if they take 5 years or 5 minutes to clean a flat, there's no upside to them. Whereas if you get a guy that works at a hedge fund, if he makes one good trade, the upside for the company is 100 million, and the upside for this guy is 10 million. Same thing with tech sales. If you get an enterprise account executive that works at Google Cloud and sells $1 billion deal to the American government for $1 billion, the upside to Google is $1 billion. The upside to the guy is like $10 million for his commission. So it's
yeah,
like Target-driven jobs are the only jobs that you will ever do that will make you rich. Any other job, if the goal is to get rich, any other job is a waste of time. It's stupid, right? So I think what you said is really good because you want to be financially successful, right? No one gets into tech sales to be broke or poor or because they love it. Like everyone just wants to make money. Like, let's be real.
Exactly.
Uh, yeah. And then you're also quite entrepreneurial, right? I think you said you were selling cars with your friends. Do you want to just tell people
Yeah,
about your side hustle that
yeah,
you
yeah. So my friends, they sort of own a car dealership. They basically buy and sell cars. So maybe I've got the sort of entrepreneurial sort of set from them as well. So I worked there as well for the past 6, 7 months,
Nice.
learning the trade. And yeah, so literally, in an industry like that, it is literally commission only, you could say. So, it is an entrepreneurial job where you got to be driven to wake up every day because no one's gonna make the money for you. So
Yeah,
you've got
exactly.
to be up every day.
Exactly. Yeah, like you're the perfect type of person that these tech companies are looking for, the sales ones, because they
Yeah.
want someone who's really money hungry. The traits are money hungry, very curious about tech, loves sales, and thrives under pressure and on targets, right? Obviously, tech sales is not commission only, but the principles of any sales job applies to a tech sales job. The only difference is you work in a tech company, you sell bigger deals to bigger companies, and you have a base salary. Everything else is pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's no surprise that you did this so quickly. The last question I have for you is, imagine if someone's thinking about joining the Break into Tech paid community accelerator program and they're just considering it, they're thinking about it. What would you say is like, what would you say are the main reasons they should join, or the main reasons that they should consider joining that would help them join the program and work with us to get a tech sales job?
Yeah, I think the main reason to join the sort of community, I think it's a no-brainer really in terms of joining the community because you have that support more or less 24/7. I mean, even Milan, he can vouch as well. He's always online, he's always active.
Yeah,
You can always drop him a message either in the group chat or individually if needed. And, he's always going to respond with value. And, even if Milan's not active, you've got other people in the group chat who have already landed a role
yeah,
or are trying to land a role and are in the same boat as you. And there's always going to be someone that's going to reply and sort of give you some advice. And this advice isn't coming off someone random, it's coming off people who are in the industry
yeah,
and are doing well, that are successful in the industry. So I think the main sort of reason to join is that you're going to get, certified professional advice and you're not really going to get that anywhere else.
mhm,
And I think if I didn't join the paid community and maybe I was still in the free community, I very much doubt I'd have landed a role by now.
yeah,
So I think, yeah, I think it just makes sense. It's just a no-brainer to sort of fall back on people who've done it before
yep.
because you're only going to be the next one to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I think, what we have in the paid community, right? It's a 3 months long accelerator program, just like Gav said. We've got a community, we've got about 650 people in there now, I think. And people that land jobs, they never really leave. Like all of these guys, like they've landed jobs already over the last 6 months. They haven't really left. So you've got access to those guys, you've got access to peers that are trying to do the same thing. Everyone's money hungry, everyone loves tech. I'm in there, Laura's in there. We do daily calls, weekly calls. We've got the course, obviously, that you can follow along. And then we've got the WhatsApp group if you have any questions for me. So I think that was a good, quick summary. Well, look, man, good luck with everything with the new job. Excited to see how you get on. And as always, if you need help, when you get to a point where you want to get promoted to an account executive role, just give me a text. We can get on a call, review the deal, review the contract, make sure that you're getting the best possible job. What I've said to all of the guys that have already landed jobs in the program is we will always stay in touch. And if you carry on staying in this industry, I would love to help, not just get you the SDR role, but also to get you promoted to the account executive role. Or if you transition out of your current company, come back to me, we can talk again and we can get you to a different company or get you promoted to a different role.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think staying in the sort of community is definitely something that I do, just because there's literally no value that I'm losing.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's always going to be something beneficial, and I think the sort of community itself, I think it makes sense. That it's a good community, everyone's helpful, and everyone's sort of looking to progress, and yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. When do you start your job?
So I actually start on the 3rd of Feb.
Okay,
Um,
nice.
but got a busy week because it's my friend's wedding this year, so we're going on a stag this week.
Nice. Where are you going to?
It's in Mexico, actually.
Mexico. Wow.
Yeah, Mexico. I've never been around that sort of part of the world, so it should be good.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, neither have I, but a good friend of mine went to Mexico City. He loved it.
Hey, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'll love it. You'll love it, yeah. Long flight, but it's going to be amazing.
yeah. I think it's like 10 hours or something. I'm like, no
Yeah.
way.
Awesome, man. Well, look, enjoy the stag do. Good luck on the new role. Keep us posted in the group. And if
Yeah.
I can help in any other way, please feel free to reach out. And that's it, man. Excited to see how you get on.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Well,
very much for the help as well.
thanks for your time today as well.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thanks.
Cheers.